About Money continues. Remember the website, adamsfinancialconcepts.com. Here's Mike.
Welcome back. This is Michael Prentice. Once again, Mike Adams will not be with us today. I introduce my guest, President and CEO of TR International. Welcome, Anthony Ridnell.
Thanks, Mike. Glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
So go ahead and tell us a little bit about your background, Anthony.
I was born in New York City in the early 60s. Moved to Australia as a child from 11 to 13, where I picked up a sport I played as a very passionate young man, rugby football. Came back to the States and graduated from Bronxville High School in 1978. I went to the United States Military Academy at West Point and graduated as a second lieutenant in 1982. I was in the Army for 6 years, finishing off at Fort Lewis as a captain, commanding a field artillery battery. And right as my Army career was getting started, I was very fortunate to be picked for the United States national rugby team, and had to make a decision in 1987, 88, which path I wanted to go on, whether it was an athletic path or a Army career. And as a young single mid-20s guy, I selected the rugby option, the athletic option, and I got out of the service in 1988 and got into the chemical business.
Oh, great. I think most people would have probably made that same choice. So tell me about the chemical business. Well,
it's you know, at first glance, it's a business that you've never heard even existed when you're a kid growing up. You know, you take those occupational tests that tell you if you want to be an astronaut or an accountant or an artist. Chemical distributor is certainly not in that list. But it's a fascinating industry. There's so many people in it that in an industry you never knew existed. For example, if you go into a grocery store and you look at a label of products, you know, maybe they're Cheetos or something like that, and they've got 6, 8, in the case of Cheetos, probably 20 different chemical names. I say Cheetos because that's a favorite of mine, but probably 20 different chemical names. There's a whole industry surrounding how those particular chemicals get made, get put into formulations for foods and other products. And by other products, it could be food, paints, sealants, oil and gas, frac fluids. We sell all sorts of ingredients for all sorts of applications. So you get into the business and then you find out how massive it really is. And the products themselves aren't that exciting, but the markets behind the products and why the prices in those products fluctuate and supply and demand imbalance is very, very interesting.
Okay. So how'd you get involved in the business to begin?
Well, in 88, I was driving down with a fellow on my rugby club, a friend on my rugby club, and he was telling me about the chemical industry, and he kind of sold me on it as we were driving down to a tournament in Portland. And 3 months later, I concurrently left the service, and we started a small business together. My participation in that business lasted about 5 years. I started TR International on August 15th, 1994, and we'll be celebrating our 20th anniversary this year.
Well, congratulations on that.
Thank you.
So tell me, how has the business changed over the last 20 years?
Well, we went through a huge change. In the early 90s, the term global business was just sort of catching vogue. The thing that we call the internet was a brand new thing. When I started in the industry in the late 80s, maybe 50% of companies had fax machines, let alone email addresses 5 years later. And global business was just coming in vogue. A lot of people didn't know how to do global business, either on the export side or the import side. And over the course of the past 20 years, you could go onto a website right now and order a truckload of citric acid if you wanted to, whereas 15, 20 years ago, you wouldn't have the first clue on where to look. So as the internet has affected everything in the business, affected every business, it certainly has affected the chemical industry. We thought that the industry would change where the internet would destroy the need for relationships, personal relationships. In fact, it's been the opposite. Because there's so much transparency due to the internet, personal relationships are more important. Trust and value are even more important than they've ever been, and will continue to be so moving forward.
All right, well, that brings me to my next question. Where do you see, going forward, where do you see the industry?
Well, right now, the industry is being changed massively by what we refer to as the shale gale. The horizontal drilling in the oil and gas industry, creating exponentially lower energy costs for, particularly in the United States, for manufacturers, has brought chemical manufacturing and general industrial production back into the United States. I believe the figure in the next 3 to 5 years, there's been $50 billion announced in chemical plant expenditures. Chemical companies are coming back into the United States, and so I think the major change coming up is that Houston, Texas is going to become the petrochemical hub of the world. And being in this country, we've really developed an import-based type of industry. China and other countries have become low-cost producers at reasonable quality. But I think that's good. I sincerely think that's going to change. I think the United States is going to be now very cost competitive, along with the very high quality products that Americans will make.
All right, that's great. Let me ask you this though: with all this push for the green energy going on, do you see that having any effect on the chemical industry?
Well, certainly. We're a distributor, so we're a reseller. Call it a middleman. We take stock of every pound that we sell, so we're not a broker. But with the exception of a wholly owned blending and manufacturing facility that TR International owns in Chicago called ChemBlend of America, LLC, we don't produce any of the products. TR International is a reseller. But we do work with chemical manufacturers, all of whom are taking huge notice of the green initiatives. One of the issues is that a number of green products don't necessarily work as well, and they might even be more expensive. So there's a huge quality price trade-off. For example, the product Drano. Drano is pretty much an amalgamation of a number of chemicals, and I think we all know how well Drano works in cleaning out a clogged sink or toilet. The replacements, the green replacements for Drano simply don't work as well, and they're more expensive. So as an economy, we need to start making some decisions on price versus quality versus effectiveness. Okay.
So where would we be at without chemicals?
Well, I think a lot of people have taken chemicals out of their name. They've taken chemicals out of their domain names on the internet. You won't drive by a big plant with all those smokestacks along the side of a highway and see, BASF or DuPont or Invista. You won't see any chemical names there sort of advertised because, quite frankly, they're big, ugly facilities. And the word chemical can have and does have a very negative connotation. The fact of the matter is that without chemicals, and you could call salt a chemical, sodium chloride. Our food would taste blander. The shirts that we have on right now would have significantly less color. It might be all gray. Those beautiful colored tattoos that young people wear now, would all be the same color. It's all chemicals that create those colors. And across every industry, chemicals in paints, chemicals in foods, chemicals in pharmaceuticals. The chemical industry has certainly advanced our quality of life in every way.
So basically, a lot of things wouldn't exist without chemicals.
I would say that with 100% surety.
So with all this push for the green and trying to reduce chemicals and all that, there's a very slim chance of chemicals just going away.
The chemical industry will change. I mean, certainly there's a move for safer technologies, for less volatile, less hazardous, less corrosive products. As we move on and science advances, those advances will come. But there's always going to be a price effectiveness, price quality trade-off.
Okay, so kind of like in the food industry, right?
Absolutely. We have this whole organic push. which is superb. The issue is that organic products cost more to make, they cost more to harvest, they cost more to transport, they cost more to store. And while there's unequivocal evidence that organic products are healthier for you, again, the 99-cent super meal at McDonald's can fill up a child's stomach, and certainly not as anywhere comparatively as healthy as an organic meal, for example. But again, there's a price quality trade-off. Some people just can't afford it.
That makes a lot of sense. All right. So tell me, we only got a few moments here before the break, but you were talking to me about taking a sabbatical now from the company.
I am. I'm the CEO of the company. I'm 20 years into it. Again, we're celebrating our 20-year anniversary on August 15th, which I'm personally very proud of, and I know all of our employees are. It's been a hell of a run, as they say. But I've decided to take at least 3 months off, and my goal out of that is to take advantage of some projects I've wanted to work on, as well as come back fresher and hungrier and ready to go for the next 20 years.
So you were saying, what do you plan on doing during this sabbatical?
Well, a number of things. My son is 5.5. He's just getting to the point where I think he and I will be able to experience a great time together over the course of the summer. My wife and I are going to be doing a dance competition. We're going to really focus on a bit of that. She runs a business out at our farm called Fox Hollow Farm. I'll make an unashamed plug for foxhollowfamilyfarm.com. It's an outstanding place for family entertainment on the east side in Issaquah. And I want to take a few courses, a photography course. I'm going to do some volunteer work. I'm looking at something with Habitat right now. My wife and I are going to travel to Italy after our dance competition in September, October. And also have, I'm just going to look at some things and really outline 3 to 4 months to do some things I wanted to do, including clean up my closet and throw out some clothes and, all the stuff that I've accumulated over 30, 40 years after West Point. Go back into those boxes that are deep and dark in the garage and sort some things out and just be able to do that in a relaxed manner and not feel guilty for not working. And the sabbatical will also allow my company to mature, which I'm excited about. I have a general manager, Megan Gluth, who's done a super job taking over for me in the last 7 months running the company. And I've been able to perform as a trainer of our young people and provide some guidance in that way rather than run the daily operations of the company. So I'm looking forward to come back fresh and revived for the next 20 years. And really, enjoy a bit of stuff you're supposed to do when you retire, when you're still active and can enjoy it. So the purpose of the sabbatical is several-fold. There's some personal selfishness to it, but also I believe the company will be better, the people at the company will be better, my family will be better off, and my relationships with my children, 3 girls and a little boy, and relationship with my wife will improve as well. So I'm just very excited about it, and just to release some of that stress where I'm the kind of guy I wake up and before my foot hits the floor, I'm checking my email on my phone, at 5 o'clock in the morning, 5:30 in the morning. So getting away from that stress, I think will do me a great deal of good as well. Come back with some fresh ideas.
Wow, sounds like a great time. So tell me, if we want to get in touch with your business, how can I do that?
Well, we've got a newly rebranded website. We actually added the chemicals name to our website because we're proud to be in the industry and we want to be known for that. It's TRIchemicals.com. My email address is anthony.ridnell@TRIchemicals.com.
All right, great. Well, thanks for being on the show today.
Mike, I appreciate you having me. Thanks very much.
Again, congratulations on 20 years in the business.
I appreciate that. Thanks.